We're good. All right, call to order the meeting of Administration Legal Affairs Committee, Wednesday, December 11th, 2024, 5 p.m. 2.0 prayer. Anybody want to pray?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I had a text message pop up, sorry. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for another opportunity to gather together to do the business of the county, Lord. We just pray that you direct our steps, Lord, and that you see this meeting through from beginning to end. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All righty, 3.0 approval of agenda. So move.
I have a second.
And we have a second. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And 4.0 approval of meeting minutes from the November 6th, 2024 meeting.
I so move.
Second. And a second. All right. Discussion, no, probably not. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So move. And 5.0 approval of claims. I have before me here total of $112,782.24.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Public comment 6.0. Anybody else here? So we'll keep moving here. 7.0 departmental reports. 7.0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I did put this at everybody's seats. I'll go over that with you right now. I actually had claims that were sort of substantial this month, so $1,000. So mostly related to the tax sale. That's kind of our biggest single expense for the year, other than the printing and mailing of tax bills. So that concludes the tax season. So you can see where that money went. Moving to the monthly financial report, this baby, which I sent out last week. Still good news. We were down slightly, about 750,000, which, you know, that's a relative amount, obviously. 750,000 out of 17 plus million, which is to be expected. You know, we're on the back end side of getting property tax dollars. So this is the time of year where this is what we kind of save those reserves for, that our auditors talk about, because we don't really have, at least the property tax as a revenue source. So does anybody have any questions about what you've seen here? Again, the investment page has all the extra color on it. 13 investment vehicles matured during the month, earning over 32,000 in interest. Right now, there are 33 different other investments in place, covering 19 different county funds. I did add 4 more this week, just to run up to the end of the year to grab a little bit more interest where I can, because the Fed is scheduled to meet again, a potential rate cut. So trying to hedge that bet. So we do have a rate lock on several things that you can see. They're not due until 25. So I feel really comfortable with all of that. So we actually have about $18.5 million invested. Yeah. So does anybody have any questions about the report itself? You know, we kind of go over it really quickly, but I think there's nothing dramatically changing from month to month. So if you don't have any questions, or if I don't see anything unusual, we just kind of go through it.
It's a lot of information, very logically laid out.
Okay, well, good. As long as it's easy to follow, that's good news to hear. Property taxes, so I mentioned that quickly. Last property tax distribution was November 26th. It also included a small interest distribution. We earned $75,000 in interest on property tax dollars, which is unusual normally, because you have to distribute every 30 days. There's really not a lot of time to collect that interest. So, but we were able to distribute over $75,000 in interest across all districts. Almost 1.9 million across districts for their distributions. County received 214,000 across the funds that we support. So that was good news. Next tax dollars will be seen July of 25. One thing that I think is really interesting, I want to point out, is that of the original amount of taxes that the clerk extended, there's this original and then adjusted. If you look at the settlement sheets, we captured more than 100%. So that is great. Primarily due probably to a TIF overage that was refunded from the city, and significant revenue recapture from one of the taxing districts this year. And then that little bit of interest kind of pushed us over the top. But even if you went to the adjusted amount due, we were 99.75%, which is the highest in at least 15. I think it's actually closer to 20 years in terms of percentage collected. So I don't think that is a sustainable target. Hope for it, but I just wanted to point that out because I was really, really, really pleased with that. And you would notice that if you review the revenue and expense report the finance director sends, you'll see all those numbers in parentheses for where we've gone over. So good news. The one last piece of the property tax season is the tax sale. So that sale was held November 7th. We sold the taxes for 498 parcels, which is slightly less than what we normally do, not much, slightly. Given the number that we had outstanding closer to in October, I was a little concerned that it would be higher than that, but it wasn't. So that was $765,000 in tax dollars that were collected through sale. The amount of the number of parcels that actually ended up to the county as trustee was also reduced. So that means buyers picked up more than those that default back to us, which is another positive to the year that doesn't really happen. So that's really good. If you turn over to the backside, again, this is the final distribution data for both the county at the top, where you can also see all of the funds that are distributed through the county's portion. And then at the bottom, you'll see mill raise. This part is really good because you have, again, the cumulative, you can see each distribution total, and then you have the cumulative amounts as well. So this is whenever someone's asking for information in our office about distributions, we typically just give them the final because they can see all of the data on one page. So it was the best tax collection year I've had. This was my 10th year doing it, and it was by far the best. Not necessarily the smoothest or best received, but it was functionally the best. Yeah. So I was really, really pleased with that. Unless you have any other questions, that is.
Do you have anything that you credit with that high rate of receipt?
Yeah, I think it's so there was a over $200,000 TIF refund basically in the city of Freeport where they overcalculated previously, so that came back.
Oh, okay.
So that-
I didn't know if there was any
So it's not.
technical thing we were doing or just kind of a look of the.
I actually do think in terms of operationally that the friendly reminder postcards.
That's kind of what I was
I
wondering.
think we're really, because it's a non-threatening,
Right.
which really does say friendly reminder on the card. It doesn't say any amounts that are due. It just says, hey, our records indicate we don't have a payment, give us a call, whereas the delinquent notice, by its name, delinquent notice coming by certified mail, and a lot of people don't even pick it up.
Right.
So I think those friendly notices catch a lot of those people who they wouldn't normally have missed a payment, or they were out of town, or there was an illness, or some other reason that these are the people who normally make their payments on time and just something happened and they needed a reminder. So I think I had mixed results when I tried it once before, but I'm going to continue it this way because it was kind of scrubbed of any information other than, hey, it's call. So I do think I'm not sure if I could quantify how much, but
Yeah, I know there's a lot of different fingers in this pie,
Right.
but I know we've had what seemed like success with that
yeah.
leading up to this, and so I was wondering mainly if that was had anything to do with it.
Yeah, and another benefit of it is that when I capture more people through that process, then there are fewer delinquent notices I have, because that's expensive.
Right.
And we're a bunch of our associations are working to undo that statutory requirement, which we have to send these notices by mail, by certified mail. But if we could just send them even first class, they'll get them. So many people don't even pick up the certified mail.
Because they know it's bad.
They don't,
Right.
or move, or, there's a lot of reasons. But, because a lot of times I have time, when that certified notice comes back, I stick it in an envelope and send it out as if it's regular mail, and then they'll get it.
There you go.
So, and it's the same thing with the publication requirements. Some of these statutory requirements are a little outdated, given newspaper publications and things like that, and the ease of online publications. So those are some things we're working at, but it is a major expense to our budgets to have to do those things. So if a friendly postcard for less postage and bulk mailing can do that trick, I'm gonna continue.
Sounds like a good process you got going.
So far,
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
thank you.
Okay, let's move on here. 7.2 county clerk.
Thank you. I will follow up kind of off of what Stephanie was saying. The tax will happen and then we send the certificates out when the tax buyer has to send a take notice, and part of the take notice, they send 3 copies to our office. We keep one goes back to the tax buyer, and then the other notice goes to the owner of the property. So they're notified yet again that their taxes were sold at. So we just received our first take notice, and I think it came in the mail Saturday. Started in our office. Then elections, I think the 2024 November election is finally wrapped up. I certified the results to the state on November 20th. We did have a discovery recount that took place last Tuesday. And part of that, just so everyone's aware, then a certain percentage you can request a discovery, and that's up to 25% of the precincts. In County Board District C, there's 4 precincts. So 1 precinct was chosen. That was 347. During the discovery, we had all the materials related to 347, and then all the ballots related to 347. Early vote, vote by mail, the vote by mail came in after November 5th, and then the polling location. They all went through the machine again, and then each ballot, I flipped over it. There was attorneys there to represent each party. The discovery went phenomenal. The results were the same as reported and certified. Moving on to any questions regarding the 20.
Just, regarding the discovery, I know, like you say, I know it kind of came out as expected, but I also know there were some minor anomalies that probably didn't impact. Can you just speak to those a little bit, or that's what I heard?
Yes, so some minor things that, if there were major discrepancies, someone could petition to the court. That would be the next process. They could petition to the court that there was discrepancies, election fraud. Didn't see any of that. But some minor things that were noted were there were 2 ballots that did not have election judge signatures on it. One ballot that didn't have signature was for one candidate, and the other one was for the other. So I think that kind of canceled out when both attorneys realized that. I think you would see, we always want our election judges, we try to train them the best, but you'll see in every election, unfortunately, there's probably going to be a ballot somewhere within every county that doesn't have the signatures, but that would be up to a judge to decide.
Okay, great.
Then for 2025, I know last time I talked about petition period was beginning. Last Tuesday, the township caucuses took place. I believe most of them went pretty smooth. I know there was one township, usually township caucuses are not well attended in Stephenson County. There was one township that had over 30 people, which was more than double.
That's the
So,
one I was at. There was probably 40 people there, I think, at one point. The one I did.
well, you know, there might have been another one
Yeah.
then. So I think some of the townships, I was getting a couple phone calls that night. But I believe all the caucuses went pretty well. And people have been reaching out saying who's going to be on the ballot in April. I don't have that list yet because all the districts don't have to file their certification with our office till January 23rd. So it will be a little bit of time until I have a compiled list of all the candidates. All the local election official, meaning the township clerk, the village clerk, they have the list by now, but I do not have all the list yet. Liquor Commission, we will be meeting next Wednesday to have our annual meeting. There is, I would say, there's going to be a decrease in liquor applications this year. Some businesses within the county are no longer. Any questions?
Just wanted to comment on the caucus, the one I was at actually went well. And, so we got, I think we sent all the papers and stuff. Here. It's kind of fun, actually.
No, they're interesting. Since the caucuses have winded down, this week is going to be the first, say, back to normal, because once November, that election wrapped up, there was the filing period, and then individuals reaching out about the caucus. So it has calmed down this week, I would say.
That's a good thing, right? Any questions? Good. Okay. Let's go on to 7.3 supervisor of assessments.
So since Stephanie wrapped up her thing, it started the whole 2025 period of sending out the notices and like what Stephanie said, the expense of publications. So my publication, you can see on the claims and stuff like that, for me to send out the notices that I had to send out, it was just over $12,000 just to publish that in the paper. That's not the mailings and the paper and all of that. So there has been, like she said, much talk to do that. And the bad thing about it is Stephanie has diligently a couple years ago, since the Journal Standard has not been in this town for a while, the office hasn't been in a while, a lot of people don't have that. So then we do it by village voices. This is the most circulated, so that's where we publish everything, but then still a lot of people don't receive it and things like that. Dan was very gracious and he gave Freeport and I both 25 copies. So then we could distribute it to people free of cost or cost me, but that's the same point. But the thing of it is, I don't think it reaches the people that it should. Anyway, so we sent out many, close to 13,000 assessment notices. There it is. There's that beautiful notice. The townships that, besides Freeport, that did not get revalued, unfortunately got hit with a fairly large multiplier. As we all know, last year there was a state multiplier, and we do not want to do that again. So I had to, unfortunately, the county, except for in West Point and Lake Somerset and Davis, was at 16%. Nina had 17%, and Lake Somerset had 24% for their multipliers. We've had many, many phone calls. Unfortunately, I have the data to raise how they were raised. I have. And they've been out for a few weeks, so that's pretty, I don't want to say it's unusual. We only had a few or whatever, and granted, they come in at the last minute and stuff like that, but they usually have more, but just once again, the prices is what's driving the market. So. Are you looking yourself into? We can talk about whatever you would like, dear. You're actually in Freeport, so you were actually looked at. So Freeport, like I said. And then next year will be the counties that touch, the townships that touch Freeport.
I think if I got it, it's probably.
You wound up in Lena?
Yeah.
You did not, because when I first started 22 years ago, so 17 years ago, I think, 17 years ago, they had a statute that we had to send out notices to everybody, whether they had a change or not, county-wide. Then, like I said, about 17 years ago, they at least did that you could put in the paper what your multiplier was for each township. And then when it was your quadrennial year, then you had to send those out. So you would have gotten yours 2 years ago. So they at least helped us with that, because then it probably would have been 25,000 each year to mail out every single notice to every single person in the county. So they did change that statute like I said, I think 15, 17 years, it's been a while. So that's why you didn't get one, but if you didn't get a paper, then that 16%, unfortunately, you're not gonna know until you get your tax bill, but I don't know how to fix, I get that. Yeah,
That's fine. I might missing something.
no. So, yeah, so they have until December 30th to file a complaint. I did check with the state, and since we did it over the 2 holidays, it's normally a 30-day period. We did give them a little more grace period just because we're closed, 4 days for the holidays on top of it. The other thing is, that I wanted to mention, I think I made this last time, and if I didn't, I'm sorry, one of my board review members had passed away. And, I did come up with a recommendation. I presented it to Scott, and I think, are you gonna bring it up at the December meeting? So I just wanted to make note of that and stuff like that. So I do have the 2 members, but we waited, Scott and I discussed it, we waited till December because I have to go through the whole turning in process before board review can meet. So their first meeting, they can, anything happens until after the first part of January.
Good. Any questions? Okay. We'll move on. About 7.4, county administrator.
Chairman Helms and I did not have our city county meeting on Monday. The city canceled kind of last minute. There was family issue emergency that came up last minute. So, but since then, I know he's had a few conversations with city staff about projects that are being worked on. So we're still keeping up to date with that. The TCM call was canceled by TCM this week. So Ms. Baker, Marcos, and myself still had our weekly call just to kind of go over things, make sure what was going on for the agenda and kind of where things were. We completed the UCCI salary and fringe survey on Friday, got that turned in, and started working on the IMRF reporting, which we cannot finalize until after we get the ESRs, which are the employee status reports, the change sheets for the salaries going into after the first of the year. Once we get those and get them entered, then we can run the reports. But we have a baseline that we ran, so we know who primarily could be on that list, and then we'll filter down once those reports come in. The open enrollment ended on Monday. We had a cutoff time as of noon. I think at 1:47 was when the last person completed. So we kudos to Rayanne, who sent out department head reminders every morning during open enrollment with the list of the employees in their department. She highlighted in red people who had not even logged in or started, and people who in green that had logged in but had not completed it or hit the finish button. So she does an excellent job staying up with that every year during the open enrollment process. But every morning there was emails going out to every department head with updated information. So happy that has been wrapped up. Chairman Holmes and I sat in on the union negotiations with the United Auto Workers out of the Highway Department. Yes, Tuesday. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Seems like longer ago. Usually the first meetings are pretty brief and kind of, here's some things that we'd both like to see, and then we regroup. But the meeting ended up going over to about 2.5 hours.
It was a marathon.
Yeah. And we have another meeting scheduled on the 19th to wrap up that negotiation.
I think I'd be done then.
Okay, we came in here and here,
Yeah.
but not to stop too much about it.
No, that's, yeah.
There's a lot of things to get worked through, but Mr. Lowenbaum does a pretty good job, and he's pretty straight to the point. So fingers crossed. We did open up 2 better bids that were submitted for the Millrace lease, for the farmland lease out at Millrace. One came in at $198 an acre, who is the current tenant out there. The other bidder came in at $210 an acre. Monday nights, planning and development did not have a quorum, so the consensus from the committee is to bring the higher bidder to the county board for county board approval. Both bids will be included in the packet, but just to kind of give you a heads up where those came in at. Department head meeting this morning. It had been requested earlier in the year from a few of the department heads for Greater Freeport Partnership to come and do a 15-minute, this is what we do spiel. And kind of one of our department heads wanted more information because he said he uses it as kind of an employee retention tool with their events and different things for community engagement. So Andrea Schultz Winter is the executive director, Nicole Haas, their marketing person, and John Bosco, who is their newest employee, all came to the meeting this morning and spoke. They did pass out event calendars for every department head to post in their departments, and they talked about things that they might be able to help with. So after the meeting, we followed up with Andrea because they get a complete list of public and private grants out there. So two departments kind of came to mind that there might be something out there that we aren't seeing for animal control as far as grants for that. And I'm drawing a blank on the other department right now. Yeah. Well, yeah, animal control. But so they reached out and gotten contact information back for us. So hopefully that will be some good insights on that. We had a lengthy conversation about the open enrollment and the spousal carve out because and I spoke with Sherman Helms about this through the open enrollment process. We were made aware of some employees that still had spouses covered that were eligible for coverage at their own employer. So we've been working with the broker about ways to remedy that or things that could be adopted by the board that would take a next step if non-compliance was found with that. So that ended up being a pretty lengthy conversation. We also talked about the new way of the interactive agendas and how this is a trial run because yesterday I was in Stephanie's office and found out that depending on which browser you use, if you open it up, you don't see the underline to know which items have attachments. So I'll be working with Nate more before January rolls out. But for the most part, I've gotten positive feedback. I do think it'll be easier for everyone on the board in the committee meetings or board meetings to be able to access the item rather than scrolling through a long attachment. And it's definitely, on my end, it's more work and a little bit more tedious and time consuming upfront, but payoff in the end as far as retrieval and the transparency for the public, because it'll be like that. They are posted like that this month on the website. I just haven't made that like formal announcement yet because it's a work in progress. There's not underlines on the website right now, but
They will be.
there will be.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did talk about the intranet as well and asking them if there are things that they are hoping to see in that to get it to us before Nate and I do the draft of it, rather than trying to recreate the wheel after we get something done. So that's
Questions? Very good. Let's go on to 7.5, IT manager.
I have nothing to report.
What? You didn't do anything?
he used his agenda to click into his.
I was going to the website, check out the agenda and see what the issue was. Lot going on. We just wrapped up basically the research quote round of the grant, the IT grant from
AOIC.
AOIC. Thank you, everyone, for doing my job tonight. We've got all that in. It was submitted Friday, which was the first day you could submit. So all that's in. Now we're just in a waiting period to hear back. As they approve the stuff is when we'll start moving forward with some of the projects. This time of year gets a little busier with the board transition. We had new board members coming in, so I'm going out, setting up with iPad trainings, just a lot of stuff going on right now. And this time of year brings website updates as well, because we're transitioning from 2024 to 2025, updating all the committees, the dates for all the meetings next year. So spent a lot of time on the website here recently, and admin office is probably tired of me being up there and kind of commandeered chairman's office to set up meetings for people to come meet me at admin, so they don't have to, drop all their stuff at the door at the courthouse. It's a little easier to meet over here. So met with them, got them comfortable with their iPads, a few of the board members, and kind of went through some stuff. And right now, just trying to wrap up some other projects. The intranet, as Georgia had talked about, I'll be reaching out to department heads to see what they want on it. It's up and running. It's not active, but we're in there looking at it and figuring out what we put on it and how we want to structure it per se. So I'll get with each department, because I know we'll have payroll information and things that people can do out there. So just get everybody's ideas and start plugging that together. So just never a boring moment, that's for sure. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I'm forgetting.
I think that's it.
Once the new budget year takes effect, obviously we'll start. I'm not gonna be needing to look for work for probably the first 6 months of next year, because once the grant gets approved and then the new budget year, we'll start moving forward with projects. And my goal, hopefully next year, is finally to get us from being reactive to being proactive. I'm hoping to have all the reactive stuff taken care of, and then we can just start, getting ahead of stuff for the future. We'll be in a good place to where we're not just trying to band-aid everything, and we're finally transitioning from the danger zone into where we're proactive. And that's kudos to all of you on the board and everything that you've allowed me to do to this point. And so Three Rock has been an immense help. There are some days where I'm deep in a project, but you guys can handle, the outliers today, and it's helped me stay on top of some things. So very helpful with all of that. I hope everybody's happy with the IT department to this point. And again, we'll just keep plugging forward. And it's nice not to, I think last year we had the emergency of trying to make sure that we are compliant as far as the
Audit.
but the liability insurance and things of that nature. And we took a lot of stuff from being out of the red into the yellows and greens, and we should be even further this year. But next year, I hope that we're just green across the board, that we finally have everything else shored up. So a lot of work I foresee in the near future. So with that in mind, I am taking the 20th off in the whole week of Christmas. So I'm going to some mountain top where nobody will be able to find me. So no self-deception. I'm just kidding. It's just going to be a staycation, but just some downtime to prepare for what's coming. So, but all good changes. The grant's a good thing for our county. It's a bunch of free money to help us get where we're trying to go. So, with that, I'll take any questions anybody might have.
You think the intranet thing will be up and going? I know it takes time to get all.
Well, I was being super aggressive and I was trying to have it up for open enrollment, but then it was decided that might be more confusing on top of the whole open enrollment process. So we kind of hit the pause button on that. So yeah, we'll start plugging away and it'll be up in some fashion. It may not be perfected for a few months, depending on what we want out there.
Sure.
We may decide that we want to shift some things around, once we get it. The one thing I want to lay out there that I've talked with Revise, and originally I was going to try to give everybody their own username and password for this intranet. They advised me that's a huge mistake. They said most of your corporations just have a master username and password that the whole county will have that they can go in and access. Now the intranet's not, they can't change anything. Only a few people have admin rights, but there'll be one username and password for the county for all employees. It'll be the same. They can go in and then they'll be able to access the information. So we may want to switch that 6 to 12 months, because we'll have employees leave and stuff. So have to figure out a process as far as that goes. But again, really, it's just information. There's not going to be anything HIPAA related out there. I don't think anything that we'll get in trouble for having out there, but it's good practice to switch that password and username every so often.
Sure.
But there will be one master username and password. So when I send that out, don't think, oh, Nate was just lazy and didn't want to hand out 300 of them. That seems to be the industry standard for that. I wasn't even aware of that until talking with them. They're like, yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. So,
Contain almost.
yeah. So they're like, you just want one that you give out to everybody. So that's what we'll be doing once we have it up. But I figure we'll let the holidays pass here, get everybody back in from their time off, and then we'll sit down and start plugging away at it.
Very good.
So.
Okay, I think we'll move on here. 7.6.
So we haven't met, we were waiting for that department head meeting, so excited to hear that, that happened. I expect once that kind of lands and after the holidays, we'll probably get back together, I would assume. But it's a very positive sign. Like I say, I think Greater Freeport can really lead us in a lot of the areas that we wanted to direct ourselves. Pumped that the internet is in the works. Yeah, we knew it would be a process. But yeah, as long as it's kind of simmering in the background, that sounds great. I love the attached.
Yay.
I don't know. I think that's super efficient. I think it's great. It also helps, like, especially when we have those longer packets. I know more or less what everything is attached to, but sometimes like some of those documents look very similar, and in the heat of the moment, I found myself looking at the wrong bill or this or that. And so this is not only efficient in distribution, but efficient in our use as board members. No, I think those are all just really great signs. So excited to talk about it whenever we meet again. I do have one kind of related question, and the opportunity is here for the chairman, actually. After reorganization and everything else, can we get some guidance on how, at the board meeting, how these subcommittees should be moving forward? Because I assume some of the new members would want to join. There might be some refocusing of initiative, and I think we've all kind of taken a pause, and that would be a good time to invigorate. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
Where are these links supposed to be coming up? Like I pulled up tonight's agenda. I don't have
Maybe.
any.
Yeah, and to see, and I didn't realize
We
we
have a-
had to have a work showing up. So, approval of the minutes.
Yeah, it must be.
Where are you accessing?
Is there?
What browser is she in?
She's got
Safari.
Sorry.
Safari.
I can get it from my phone, which would be Safari.
Actually, my agenda.
Mhm.
So I could see. I'm gonna close it,
Okay.
just so I can, so you opened it from here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was,
This is not.
Opens up.
I was just there. I could see it there.
In Chrome,
No, I'm sorry.
in Chrome, you can see it, because that's what we use. And the things are outlined.
But typically people
Use
looking
it
for
right
now.
I think the
Hey,
outline.
Oh, I'm sure that.
Mine, you don't see anything until you
Okay.
come over it, you see the
Oh,
little hand.
you have to
You're using
intentionally
edge.
underline it.
Right,
something.
right, so that it appears to be an obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in mine, it was a blue underline of what was attached, and then obviously we click on that. Is that how yours popped up? Was
Mine's just in a box.
Oh, yours is in
Yeah,
a
mine's
box.
box.
Okay.
From IT session.
Right.
That's
I was gonna say, can we finish up the meeting and then maybe?
Yeah.
work
Yep.
with that?
Let's do that. We will go ahead and go 8.0. There's no old business, and 9.0, no new business. Is there any comments from the committee members? Seeing none, And public comments, there's nobody else here. How about 12.0 adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, Angie, don't run off.